So this is kind of the wrap for this fundamentals of the self-mastery course, right? But what now? Because really this is just the beginning. If you've done some practices, you've realized you might have opened up this bigger project than you had in mind. That mastering, focusing your attention is way more than a 2-week practice. And releasing all these stories these characters are carrying around is going to take more than a month. And that each of these skills takes more than 2 weeks of practice. It's like you but if you've been practicing, it's like okay, you passed your driver's test. It's like you've got some skills. You can drive a car. You can start to get around. You can start to see places. You're not a safe driver yet. In spite of maybe when we're 16, we think we're a great driver. We're not. It's like you've been playing guitar and now you can play a song. Well, it's easier to learn the next song. Having an erector set didn't make me an engineer. Getting an engineering degree didn't make me a good engineer. When I left engineering school, I was like, okay, there's way more that I will never know about engineering. But with the skills I learned in engineering school, I was like, I can figure it out. I know how to go do the research, apply the systems, do the rigorous math, okay, learn a new subject area that has specifics, and I can apply my engineering skills to that specific type of engineering problem. This is the beginning. It's the way I looked at it. I was 2 years into my process. And I uncovered this agreement that I wasn't good enough. That took me 2 years. Now there's a story about that, whether I was real stupid and slow or I had a lousy teacher, but that's another story. I didn't have a lousy teacher. I had an amazing teacher. But I found that belief layered down in there. I'm not good enough. It's in a podcast. That took me 2 years. It didn't change that week once I found it. I wrestled with it and I stepped out of it, but it didn't completely change. I saw there was another side to it. I could have the experience of being outside of it, but it didn't mean all judgments were gone. And in that same week, in that same intensive retreat, I discovered what it was to have unconditional acceptance and love for myself. I didn't even know what that was. But I felt it that day. Not the same day as discovering I'm not good enough, but I felt it on that same retreat. That time, I'm like, it's possible to look and be with myself with no judgments. And I was feeling it was real. I'm like, oh. And when I felt that and I saw that I could see myself that way, and then I was like, how peaceful and beautiful that felt. I thought, not only do I want to see myself that way, I want to see everybody without judgments. I don't want to reject anybody. That doesn't feel good to me. And so as I progressed and I was letting go of all these stories, I found there was like this whole other possibility. Unconditional acceptance and unconditional love for myself and for other people. No judgments. Yeah, I started anew. You got some tools. You're going to be unskilled. There's still practice that needs to happen. There's maybe more stories now that you see than you saw before, but because you have a whole lot more awareness to notice, and you're putting your attention on them when before you just ignored them. So it's not like things get worse. It's just like you're seeing what's there. Don't measure it by that, because it seems like there's more. It's just like, no, your awareness has grown. Don't measure yourself that you're no good at these skills and practices. It's like, I wasn't that good after a few months and either. But even without being very skillful, even with clumsy use of them, I was making progress. Even with clumsy use of them in the beginning, just writing and stepping outside of, I was making progress. As you get better, as you practice, your progress is going to speed up. The hardest part is just learning some of these skills of awareness and being the observer and skepticism. And that's the hardest, slow part. And once you do that, you're like, okay, now I can drive faster. I can be more efficient. I don't have to work so hard. And I can get where I want to go. And then it's, and as you do that, the car is faster. You're faster. And then you can fly. Okay? One of the big traps, feeling like, or the thought, the belief that you need to get these skills perfect before you move on. No, that's one of the biggest lies. You need to practice, yes, and get better, but don't get perfect. And the skills that come in the second course and the other skills in the other courses, they can help you get better at these skills. You can be a more well-rounded, skillful person with lots more skills and tools. So, you're not supposed to have mastered this yet. If all you've gotten is seen like, wow, there's a lot here. There's a lot to learn, a lot to grow. And your eyes have been opened that way. That's a huge benefit. That's a huge benefit because maybe that gives you an inkling of what's possible if you can let go of these stories. These emotions, these behaviors. How much different your life will be. How much happier you can be. And yeah, it's work. It's work and it's effort. But you know what? How much effort and energy does it take to keep doing the same thing over and over again? That's exhausting. That's exhausting. So when you find a reason, a story about why not to go forward, why not to practice, why not to do more, what character is saying that? Does that come from you and what you want in your life and how you want to feel, or is that coming from ego character? What does it want? What do you want? You got some tools on how to use it. You got the keys to the car. You've seen you can go places. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel inside with yourself? For me, unconditional love and acceptance. And then what do you want your relationships to be like? How do you want them to feel? What can they be like? Have you let your imagination and your emotion go far enough to what's possible? Could you let it go further? If you let go of a story or a few more stories and some emotion, could you let your imagination go further? Could you let your feeling of love and gratitude go further? What would that feel like? Or you can keep doing what you're doing. The way you used to do it in the past. I'm being realistic about a process. I'm not one of those motivational speakers that are going to say, do this weekend workshop and your life's going to be magical forever. I got a raw, hard work ethic about what it takes to really dig into these unconscious beliefs and change everything emotionally about your life. But I'm also giving you what I think are some really vital tools and the keys to the car so that you can make it what you want to make it and you can feel how you want to feel. So what now? That's a question for you. How do you feel? How do you want to feel? And if you worked at it, would it be worth it? And what don't you know that if you did know and you acted on it, could change your life for the better? There's questions you haven't even asked yet. Emotions you haven't even been explored yet. So I ask you, not just what now, but what for you in your future? How do you want it to feel? How do you want to feel? How do you want your relationships to feel? For you in your future.